This is Hamp Lee III from Spiritual Combatants, where we're training soldiers for Christ. I want to thank you for joining me for this message today. Today, we're going to be talking about 3 ways to get off the emotional roller coaster in your relationships. And with our relationships, when love's involved, emotions, and we're close to one another, sometimes you can find yourself angry one minute, stressed the next, frustrated, mad at your partner. So we're going to go over 3 ways to get off that roller coaster so that you won't always be up and down. You'll just be steady and have a place of peace and love in your life. So let's get right into it. So number 1, I'm going to say is stop. And this is just like when we were younger, we were talking about with fire, stop, drop, and roll. So this first one is stop. And what we have to do is we have to be able to identify that there's fire. And this isn't the good fire, but that there is a fire. I have to stop. So what I have to do is I have to look at the pattern that's going on in my life and in my relationship. Oftentimes it may be you or it may be them that creates the same cyclical pattern of anger, frustration, and all this type of coming against one another. The same patterns over and over again. And then if you try to stop or back away from something, then the pattern kind of changes, but the same type of pattern over and over again. So what we have to do is we have to be able to stop to recognize what's going on. What's the pattern that is going on around me? Sometimes it may be you. You want to be able to show that, hey, I was right in the relationship, because sometimes we can be right, but because we're right, we're going to be wrong in other ways, or there's a cost that goes along with being right. Sometimes we want to show that we're not weak, that I'm not a punk. I'm going to show you who I am. Sometimes there's pride involved. There's many things that's going on. Sometimes it's within you. Sometimes it's within them. Sometimes there's prior hurts and pains that's going on, and somebody says, I'm not going to get treated like this again by any other person, even though you may not be in the person that hurt them initially, but they're going to make sure that no one else will. So there's many different reasons why you may be coming against your spouse or within a relationship with someone else, but you want to be able to look at the pattern that continues to move over and over and over again. And often, because it's dealing with the emotions, we may be able to see the pattern, but we're not paying attention to it to the point where we say, that's what it is, and I'm going to address it. We know that we get mad. We know that people are doing some of these same things, but because our emotions are up and down and all over the place, we're really not connecting the dots to see what's going on and how things are going. And so in James 1:19 and 20, it says, "Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God." So let every man be swift to hear. So that means I need to take the time to listen to what's going on. I need to stop. And then when we're emotional, often we just run first, we speak first, and then deal with the consequences later, and whatever the aftermath is, I'll deal with that at some other time, but I'm coming at you. But I want to be quick. I want to be swift to listen, swift to hear. I want to listen and take things in before I respond. And when we're talking about being swift to listen, this isn't like you're sitting there listening to somebody thinking of what you're going to say in response. It's just sitting back, just listening to what they're saying and taking it all in, because what they're saying, there may be an element of truth in what they're saying. So I want to be able just to hear what's going on, and then if they're coming against me, I can be able to hear what's being said. I want to be slow to speak. So being slow to speak, like, again, I don't want to just say something, because you can't take your words back. Words don't come with refunds. Once they're spoken, they are spoken and they're out there, and you have to deal with what comes out of your mouth and what you said in the response that someone else has. So I want to be slow to speak. I want to be slow to really think about what I'm going to say. That I don't want, if I want to get off this emotional roller coaster, that means there's some things that I have to stop saying. There's some things I have to stop doing, but I need to be slow to speak. I need to be very careful about my words to make sure that they don't agitate the other person and put them in a situation where they're boxed in the corner, where they want to come out swinging and come out fighting me for whatever reason. So I want to make sure that I'm slow to speak and I'm slow to wrath. And I want to be slow to wrath because, again, there's going to be repercussions for me injuring another person or slow to just blow up on somebody. I want to be patient. And a lot of relationships is almost like a slow cooker, that it's going, like, you know, the devastation is occurring in your relationship, but it takes a long time to get to that place. Some relationships, it just goes quick and fast, but oftentimes it just kind of melts it away little by little, just cooking it where it gets hotter and hotter and hotter, to where the point where people get tired and frustrated, where they act out aggressively and physically, or they seek some type of ending of the relationship. So first we want to do is we want to be able to stop what you're doing. doing. Stop the pattern, stop the process. And oftentimes that's really hard to do, because if you're someone that want to be proven right, then they may be saying something that's totally off base, and you want to prove that they're wrong. And so you have to sit back and say, I'm not going to respond to this. I'm not going to go along with what you're telling me. I'm not taking the bait. It's not saying that this person is wrong or something's wrong with them, but these are the weapons of warfare that you both had engaged in for this time period, and now you're trying to stop. So in order to stop, that means you have to have some control of yourself. And in Proverbs 16:32, it says, he that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city. And in our times and around us, we look at the mighty as stronger than someone that can be slow to anger, and we look at someone that can take a city being stronger than someone that can control themselves. Self-control. It takes a lot to be able to control yourself, to say, you know what, in this situation, when feelings and emotions are raging, I'm going to choose to be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. I'm going to just sit back and I'm going to assess the situation and really consider what I'm going to say next. I can be praying for myself and the situation while it's going on, to make sure and asking the Lord, Lord, help me to say the right thing and to do what's right. And so in this second point is to drop. And this is when we begin to let go of all of those behaviors that we had in our role. If they're coming at me, then I'm going to respond in like manner, and then we just keep going back tit for tat, tit for tat. And so now I have to be able to drop what I'm doing. And in Hebrews 12:1, let me read this real quick. It says, wherefore, seeing we are also compassed by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. So now this is a slightly different context, but while we're sitting, because they're talking about faith in the previous chapter in Hebrews 11, but while we're so compassed by this great cloud of witnesses, and the cloud of witnesses he was speaking of was those of times past that lived faithfully before God, and we are also among the cloud of witnesses. They are compassed around us. Then let us lay aside those behaviors that created anger and frustration and caused us to be on these emotional roller coasters. Lay aside those sins that we're doing, the things that we're doing to cause division within our relationships. We have to choose for ourselves to let them go. I can't control what another person is doing. I can pray to God for them and intercede, but I can't make them do anything. I can't make them live right. God's not going to make them live right. So why are you trying to make them live right? I can't make them live right. All I can do is control me, and I can be the best me possible that God wants me to be, but I do that by laying aside these weights. I got to lay aside the weight and the sin that so easily besets me, that so easily trips me up. How many times that you say, you know what, I'm not going to argue with this person. Next thing you know, 2 seconds in, you're arguing again, and then after the argument, you're like, man, how did I get here again? How in the world did I do this once again? And it's something that easily trips us up. It's something when you're emotional, you just go into, it's almost like a natural reflex that somebody says something, boom, I'm going to respond. Somebody says this, boom, I'm going to respond in that way. I have to choose to stop. I recognize what's going on. I'm aware, I'm self-aware, I'm cognizant, and now I'm going to drop those things, drop those behaviors, and I'm going to run with patience. And running with patience, what's going to happen here is when you begin to drop those different things and have soft answers, and you choose to do something different, the other person may ramp up what they're going to do. They're going to turn up the heat. They're going to be extra. And oftentimes they're going to be so extra that they may even embarrass themselves in front of others. I was in that situation. I was in a situation when I was younger in college where I just wowed out, and the other person was calm and was really cool and collective, and I just got madder and madder to the point I embarrassed myself in front of all my friends. And we get to this place because you want a response. You want that person to feel how you feel. You want that person to be as passionate as you're passionate. I wasn't looking to argue, but I was trying to understand where they were coming from, and I didn't know. And so I wound up embarrassing myself, turning the heat up, in myself just so I can get some type of response out of this other person. And you may have the same thing. So I have to run with patience to know that they're going to be extra. They may embarrass themselves. They may embarrass themselves in front of others and also among the children, but they're going to go at it because they want a response from you. Oftentimes it's a negative response, but sometimes they do just want to have a response from you just to know that you care about what they care about, and you do. And there's a way that you can say it, because a soft answer turns away wrath. And you can choose to tell them, look, I don't want to argue anymore. I just want to be at peace. I love you. I don't want to keep going down these roads, but you want to make sure that your answers and what you say are very carefully worded, because you don't want to drive this person to where they're just going to just wild out and you're going to frustrate them even more. Sometimes just your soft answer is going to frustrate them. So there's nothing you can do about that, but you're not doing anything to agitate them or to cause them to be in a situation where you're belittling them. Sometimes you're like, well, I'm the bigger person and I'm not going and acting like you, and look at you, you're acting all this kind of way. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make sure that I'm at peace and I'm loving and I'm kind and I'm walking in the way and will of God. And that's what we want to be able to do. And often, if you notice, when you're arguing and fighting and they turn up the heat and you're choosing, okay, they're turning up the heat and you're choosing not to go along with whatever's going along with, and then as soon as they do, they kind of calm down. Oh, I just wanted to see you act like that. No, I'm going to choose not to go that way. So I want to be able to drop those things so that I can walk in peace and love and kindness, and I can be the person God wants me to be. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to create a new normal within my relationship. The old normal was us arguing and fighting. And I don't want to continue arguing and fighting. I don't want to live my life in that. I want to live my life focused on God and loving my neighbor as myself. And this is you are my closest neighbor. So I just want to love you as I love myself. That's all I want to be able to do. And I want to be able to go along together, that we'll be together in this and not always fighting. And I want that. And I want that for both of us. And so that may be hard for the other person, because they may not be ready or at the position or place in their lives to make that same decision. So that's why you have to be able to run with patience, to understand and to intercede for them, to know that they may not be there as well. And they may continue reaching back into that bag of emotions to pull something out of you. So you always have to be watchful. You have to be vigilant and waiting, and to be watchful, not waiting for an attack, because you're not waiting for something, for a fight to come, but you have to be cognizant and be mindful that when something does come, that I need to stop, and I need to make sure that I drop those emotions and feelings, that this is my new normal, and I'm not going back to those old habits and those old ways, because I want to have a new way to live with you and to dwell with you in peace. Now, next, this third one is we want to roll, and this is rolling to new ways, rolling to a new talk, a new walk, living for God the way that He wants to, conducting ourselves in a manner that He can be pleased with, a manner that is in obedience with what He's allowed us to do. And as I said, the temptation is going to come, the heat may rise, but be committed to the process of change. Be committed to not engaging in emotional conversations. Don't engage in those emotional conversations where they have you up and down, right and left. You don't know where you're coming or you're going. Just be steady. And so what you want to do is be a peacemaker, and you want to continue to minister to them. Now, it says here in Matthew 5:9, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. That I want to have peace and not separation. I don't want to have war. I want to have peace with this person and enjoy the time that God has given me with them. And then secondly, in Matthew 5:43 and 48, it says, you have heard that has been said, that thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies and bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you, that you may be called the children of your Father which is in heaven. For He maketh the sun to rise on the evil and the just, and on the good, and send rain on the just and the unjust. For if you love them which love you, what reward have ye? Do not even the publicans the same? And if ye salute your brethren only, what do you more than others? Do not even the publicans so? Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. And so sometimes, as Jesus says, your enemies could be those of your own household. And some people will not want peace at all because of Jesus. And He said He did not come to bring peace, but a sword. And sometimes that will happen, but you do your part in your way to be a peacemaker. You do your part to love them, to bless them when they curse you, to do good to them when they hate you, to pray for them when they despitefully use you and persecute you. That's what you want to do. That's why you're going to need patience on this race. You're going to need patience, but some of those things, those are going to hurt. And that's when you go back to God and your godly friends and people that can surround you and cover you and keep you focused so that you say, I don't want to go back to those behaviors. I don't want to go back to fighting and arguing. I want a new way, a new walk, a new talk, and I'm going to intercede for my husband. I'm going to intercede for my wife. I'm going to intercede in this relationship because I want to be at peace with them. I want to have love. And sometimes there may not come to be, but let the testimony be told when the record is laid out that you were living as a peacemaker, trying to seek peace. Some people will not want peace, and they're not going to give it. They don't want it no matter how much you come to them. But you do everything you can to be a peacemaker because you want to get off of that emotional roller coaster so that you can have peace and steadiness in your heart, mind, and soul before the Lord. So I pray God will bless you through this message. If you have time, take some opportunity, just kind of review it again on stopping, dropping, and rolling. And I pray that God will give you a new way, a new normal, so that you may be able to engage with others in peace and love, so that you all may be on this steady stream of walking together in the Lord. So I pray God will bless you. If this message did bless you, please like it, subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, share it with your friends, and until the next time, may God bless you abundantly. God bless.